Welcome to Copywriting with Danita. Today we are going to understand how to convince people using the power of your words. That is, how to convince people through copywriting. So, let's begin. Your job as a copywriter is not to convince readers. As a copywriters don't convince people. Why? Because you cannot convince people who don't want something, right? So as copywriters, our job is to persuade people. There is a difference between convincing and persuading. So let's look into what's the difference. What is convincing and what is persuading? So, all right. So when you say that you want to convince a reader, you say that you want the reader to accept your viewpoint. When you say you want to persuade a person, you say that you want to make the person believe and take action. So, when you convince, it's more about logic, evidence, facts, your rational brain. We make our readers, when you use the word convince, it means we use rational arguments. Now, what's the problem with convince, right? Using rational arguments is good, right? Using facts, figures, logic is good. So why don't we use rational argument to convince the people? Why don't we use rational argument in copywriting? Because people don't only buy because of logic. They buy because of emotion. And in fact, people buy because of emotion and they justify the purchase with the help of logic. What that means is, when I want to buy something, I will buy it and I look for reasons to support my decision, however irrational it is, right? Let's understand this with the help of an example. So uh, I wanted this beautiful dress, okay, for a party. And when I went to the boutique, there were the guy presented with three beautiful dresses. The first dress looked lovely and it was just 5,000. So I liked it. I wore it. I loved it. And I thought, okay, I'll buy it. Right. It's good. And then he showed another dress. This dress was even more prettier than the first dress. Now, I liked it more. So I said, okay, let me buy the second dress and let me just discard the first one because I just have one party coming up. I need only one dress, right? So that moment, the shopkeeper showed me another dress. And now I was in a fix because I couldn't make up my mind. All the dresses on their own looked fabulous. I turned to my mom for help and she said, all of them look good. You should buy them. And then the shopkeeper said that this is just a last piece. So you might not get it. And then another lady came in the shop and she was eyeing my dress. That's when I decided, oh, I have to buy it now or all the dresses will be gone. I want all three of them. And I justified my purchase. I was buying emotionally, right? This was an emotional decision to buy the dress. Now, when my husband asked me, you only ready to buy one dress, 15,000 bill? And I said, I bought this because there'll be Christmas, there'll be other events, and I don't want to travel so much to, go to the shop and waste my time and find another dress. So that's why, to save time, I bought these two dresses. Now, understand what I did here. I bought I already wanted to buy, right? I liked it. I felt great. So the reason for my purchase was purely emotional. But what happened when my husband asked me to justify the purchase? That's when I wanted to convince my husband that my irrational shopping binge was in fact a planned strategy. I That's when I used facts, logical reasoning, and rational arguments to justify my emotional purchase. So, what do you learn out of my irrational shopping binge? People buy with emotions, right? People buy because of emotions and they justify it with logic, right? Your emotion part of the brain buys it, and your logical part of the brain justifies this emotional behavior. Now, how do we persuade people? So, we understood why people buy and how people buy, but how do we persuade people? So, persuasion is to persuade someone to get their emotional part of the brain to accept it and believe it and buy it. You have to use emotions. To convince, it's logic, rational. But to persuade, you use emotions. You use logic, you use stories, testimonials, social proof. Now, let's look at it from an example. So let's assume this is Maggie. All right. So, Maggie, your partner, when you want to make the gossips last longer. So, if I would have said, if I want to sell Maggie, and I would say, buy Maggie, 25 rupees only. And in the second slide, I would say another ad, I would put, Maggie, your partner, when you want to make those gossips last longer. And I would put a image or show a video of girls gossiping and slurping on hot Maggies. What would you think between these two creatives would get us more sales? Will Maggie and the price tag give us more sales, or will the girls in the hostel slurping hot Maggie get us more sales? I believe you said the second part. Yes. So this is how you add persuasion. This is how you persuade people to buy it, right? Let's look at one more example. So Maybelline, liquid lipstick lasts for 14 hours, smudge proof. So let's assume this copy is written for Maybelline's social media campaign, right? So Maybelline liquid lipstick lasts for 14 hours, smudge proof. All right. And another campaign, social media campaign written for Maybelline, eat, talk, laugh, repeat. Go from AM to PM without reapplying Maybelline. Now, which among these do you think will get the reader to remember Maybelline or to desire Maybelline's lipstick? The first one, where it's purely logic, or the second one, where we are telling a story? The second one, right? So, these two words are the difference between convince and persuade. The first part, we are convincing. We are using logic, logical arguments, facts. 14 hours smudge proof, right? Lasts for 14 hours and it's smudge proof. We are giving features. In the second part, the first part is convincing. The second part is persuasion. Nowhere have I mentioned which pigments we are using, it's animal tested, blah, blah, blah. I've not mentioned any of that. I have painted a picture in front of the reader. So the reader imagines I'm eating, I'm talking, I'm laughing, and I'm going from morning to night in my busy day without reapplying my lipstick, right? So this is a difference between convince and persuade. Convince is purely logical, and persuade is storytelling, emotional, connection building words. So now you might be wondering, how do you persuade readers? How can you, because you're not there, right? When you're writing copy as a copywriter, or if you're writing for your own brand also, how will you persuade people? You don't have creatives, you can't use images, you can't use, show a video, right? So how will you persuade people? Only by words. What words will make people feel very, feel persuaded? What words will make people take action? So there are 4 principles of persuasion. And these principles I will tell you and explain it to you in the next video. So if you enjoyed this video and if you liked something, learned something new, I would love to hear your thoughts. Comment below and I'll see you tomorrow with another new video. Bye-bye.